Okay, for the next part in our series on heat and light, we're going to make a tin can stove out of cardboard, and we're going to use this box for cardboard. We're going to roll that up tight, and we're going to put it inside of this tin can, and then we're going to pour wax over the top of it. And what that'll let us do is light this, and the whole top surface of this will burn. And once we've done that with this, we're going to take this larger can that I've cut the top and the bottom out of, and we're going to punch holes in it so it can breathe, but then we'll be able to set it over top of this smaller stove, and we'll be able to set a Sierra cup over it like this, and we'll punch holes around here and down here, and it will allow us to quickly and easily heat water in this Sierra cup. So that's the next project, and the first thing we need to do is cut this cardboard into strips. Now we've got our wax melting, we've got more wax melting over on the stove, and what we need to do is measure how wide we need these strips to be. So we want them just below the surface here, so we really want about right there. So on the exterior we're going to want, let's take this one off. And then we'll cut this down. And it doesn't have to be even or anything. It will work just fine if it's not cut in a straight line. We don't need to worry about that. So you can see the height that we've done it to. What we're going to do is we're going to work our way in. So we'll roll this kind of loose. It's a little too loose. So there's our first strip. Now we just need to keep doing that. So we'll get that in there. Unwind that just a bit. And now it's all in there nice and tight. So now we just need to pour wax on it. Okay, so now we're ready to pour, and we're just going to fill this with wax. Now that it's overflowing, what we want to do is let it sit, because we want the cardboard to absorb the wax, and then we're going to refill it. We also want it to get out any air bubbles that are in it. Okay, so it's settled a bit, so I'm going to give it some more before it starts setting. So now we'll just let that set again. You want to keep doing this until the top actually sets instead of settles into the cardboard. Okay, so we're going to work on the top of the stove while that part of the stove is setting. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a bottle opener, and we're just going to punch a few holes in this tin. Like that. That'll let air come into it. I'm going to put 4 of them on the top and on the bottom. Now when you're doing this, it's real easy to crush the can if you don't do it right. You want to squeeze the can to put counter pressure when you're pushing down. So when I push in on this, I have to use a lot of force. So I'm using my hand to counter pressure against it by pushing it back out. Can you see how the subtle difference there? So when I do this, I'm doing that to keep it from collapsing the can. So now what I'm going to do is get some tin snips and I'm going to cut these off a bit. But what that'll let us do is put this over the stove and it'll let air come in so that the fire can breathe. So I'm going to take my tin snips, I'm going to get in here and cut these tabs off. You want to try to not make any too bad of edges that'll cut people. If you get some bad edges on here, you can go back in with a file and rasp them down. You don't want to end up accidentally slicing a finger. So once we've done that, I'll just clean it up a bit. One of the reasons to pour this stuff over a piece of cardboard is that when I'm done, I can reclaim this wax. And I've got very little waste this way. And I can put this back in my double boiler and melt this wax back down and reuse it. Just a little tip to keep in mind. Use something to pour over to keep things clean and make it easy to reclaim your wax. Okay, now that our stove has set up substantially, we're going to give a cook test. We're going to start this burning. Got a little flame going. That should spread fairly quickly. Okay, it's going quite nicely now. So what we want to do is, first of all, I wanted to, just a safety note. You can't see it unless I bring it up here and show you, but, and I can't really get it on camera more than this, I do have a fire extinguisher sitting here, and I've got a cup of water sitting here in case I need to put anything out. I don't foresee this starting a fire in the house, but if it did, I just wanted to point out for any younger people that might be watching this that you should always be adequately prepared. You shouldn't even really do this other than I know this is a very controlled setting. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our stove that we made and put it over, and then we're going to put our cup of water right on top, and we're just going to let it sit here and hopefully heat our water up fairly quickly. So it looks like the flame's still going real strong in there. It should have plenty of oxygen coming into it. And we'll check back in a little bit. Okay, the water's getting real close to boiling now. It has been 6 minutes, and let's take a close look at what it's doing. So you can see the bubbles are forming up on the side real nice. It's not at a actual boil yet, but it's getting pretty close. So we don't need for it to actually boil. But let's take the cup off and then take our stove off. Let's take a look at how the candle's actually doing. You can see it's expelled a lot of wax, but that's okay. We had more in there than we needed. What'll happen now is that when we use it next time, it'll start burning a lot quicker. This time it had to kind of even things out and burn down some of the excess wax and get things smoothed out. But now you can see it's got a pretty nice flame across it and got water pretty close to boiling in about 6 minutes. So now to put this out, all I've got to do is snuff it. And there we go. A Functional stove that can boil water, made out of things that we'll commonly find around the house. Now I can put this stove away and put it in storage, and if we have a grid down situation, now I have lots of other stoves. This would be a much later result, but this is something that you can do if you've got minimal materials and supplies available. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it.